Hey guys, this is CCL Extra Time. My name's Ryan. This is Mayo Owolabi. How you doing, Mayo?
I'm good, Ryan. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm excited for this show. We got some great guests here. How you doing today?
No, I'm good. I'm really thinking it's about time that I go cut off this COVID-19 hairdo. It's been a bit of a struggle. I won't allow you to speak on it, but just know if I come back looking fresher than ever next week, you know what happened.
Well, just make sure you put on some baby oil to shine that thing up. You know, it's all about showbiz, man.
You know what I'm trying to do for the people. So
I
so now
mean,
we got some good guests coming on today. We're excited to be able to speak on the college game. So we have some women program coaches involved, and then we have our partner with ISoccerPath, Jeff J. He's joining us, so we'll be able to speak on the next steps players should be taking. The exciting realm of college recruitment, what the process is like, and what the steps should be for these players to take. So an exciting phone call, and we should be able to cover a lot of details.
yeah, I'm excited. Let's see our guests here.
Really excited to have our panel on today. It's an exciting day for episode 5/6, which is bringing together the college recruitment, the college spare. So we're very fortunate to have these major college coaches with us. So first, I'll introduce myself, Mayo Owolabi, the communications director with CCL. And then also on this call, representing the CCL, we have Ryan Goodwin. He is the CCL media intern. Additional to that, we're fortunate enough to have Jeff J. Jeff J is representing ISoccerPath. We have Tibor Pil.
Tibor Pillay.
Tibor
Pillay,
Pillay.
man, it's Pillay. Even if it's not Pillay, it's Pillay.
Pillay.
that Pele?
I'll let Lev introduce his last name so I don't do it 2 times in a row.
Mine's Maradona.
Oh, there we go.
Lev Kirshner.
Lev Kirshner, and then we have Adam Perron. So glad to have all you guys on this episode. So Tabor, I'll let you go first with an introduction.
Yes. Hi. So Tibor Pillay, and I am on the advisory board at ISoccerPath because I met Jeff a couple of years ago on the way down to take a position with Phoenix Rising, where I also serve as the director of our college advisory program. So I'm in the trenches with kids and their families every day, kind of working and navigating through this big mess we find ourselves in.
Lev, you can go.
My name is Lev Kirshner. I've been at San Diego State University representing our school inside the Pac-12 soccer conference. Former Rutgers player also, so I have a big rival sitting on this panel with Virginia over there. So thus I'll say the Pac-12 soccer conference best one in the country. And really put some bigs into that Virginia side, all right? But in all seriousness, been around the game more than 30 years in the college setting and environments. Also a part of that advisory board with ISoccerPath to utilize some of those years of experience and give back candidly and let these young men and women learn how to get their exposure to universities like ours and these preeminent ones like Virginia, as well as the other NAIAs, NCAA 1s and 2s, 3s.
And then Adam?
Yeah, I'm Adam Perrin. I'm the assistant soccer coach at the University of Virginia. Just was hired in February, actually the middle of February. I moved over from James Madison University. To your point about Rutgers, formerly being at Ohio State, we had a nice battle with them, but certainly a program with a ton of history and tradition there. But feeling very grateful and happy to be with a program as prestigious and with the tradition of Virginia. So happy to be here with the panel and looking forward to chatting with you, gentlemen.
Perfect. And then Jeff, you can give yourself an introduction as well.
Hi, I'm Jeff J. I am a soccer parent for almost 20 years.
I've had 3 kids come through the whole academy, ECNL ranks. My oldest 2 played Division I soccer, and all 3 of my kids have national team experience with the Guam national team overseas. And I worked with, so over the last 20 years, I've gotten to know the good, the bad, and the ugly of what us parents do and how we can work for our kids. And I was working for U.S. Soccer as a volunteer when they came up with the Market Training Center program. And I did the first 600 of them in 5 states. And I got to know these college coaches, and I got to know what they were looking for in recruiting. And I started to see that the focus was trying to take the best kid out of the training center to go to the national team camp. But what about the other 49? You know, these were great players and they never had a chance. So that kind of got in my head a little bit. And I wanted to come up with a program that was not a recruiting program, not a recruiting company program that promises that 40,000 college coaches are looking for your son and charge you $2,000. And we kind of came up with the different, actually the antithesis of what a recruiting company is. And we built it so that it's built by, first of all college coaches have built our program. It's an educational platform that keeps kids on track every month of their high school years to basically get a spot. And we've been around for about 5 years now. We've done 300 college panels for clubs around the country. So when I speak on answers today, I'm literally speaking of what college coaches have been saying, you know, recently and what they're looking for. And we decided at ISoccerPath to be the company that's very inexpensive, helps at-need kids, helps clubs, and we give referral fees back to the clubs because, as you know, right now clubs are hurting for money. We want to keep the clubs open. We want to keep the B and C teams going. So we're all about helping, and it's been a great ride. We've grown exponentially, and we're very lucky to be the only company that's approved by the NCAA to do this kind of recruiting education. So, which means college coaches can work for us. So I'm very proud of it. It's a great legacy for me to help kids get into college. Even if you're a 12th grader and it's May, you can still get in, believe it or not, which you'll hear about today. Thanks, Bob.
Nope, appreciate that. So I know, you know, our membership's going to be excited to get to hear from all of you guys who bring, you know, tons of experience and tons of knowledge to this platform. Perfect. So, you know, we're very glad to have our panel. You know, we have some ISoccerPath owner, and then we also have some college coaches on this call with us today. So first I'd like to introduce Jeff. So Jeff, I'll hand off to you.
Thank you, Mo. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm Jeff J. I'm a soccer parent for about 20 years. Had 3 kids go through pretty much as far as they can go in the program, and made a decision about 3 or 4 years ago that the kids weren't getting the opportunities, and a lot of the national team players were, and those type of things. So we wanted to do something different than recruiting services, who really are just not that, just really bad stuff. And so we started a company called ISoccerPath, which we luckily now we've tried for 3 years, and we finally have now done an agreement with CCNL, which we're very happy about, to bring our products and our coaches and things to all of your parents and players. And we've been in business, like I said, for about 4 years. Our specialty is 2 things. We put on college panels and webinars across the country at your clubs. We bring in 3 to 4 college coaches, and we have them, you know, give really, really intense, real honest answers. And we've had about 200 of those, plus appearing at a lot of ID camps in the last couple of years. And the other thing is that we're the only company that we know of right now in the country that we actually have an NCAA approval and assessment for ISoccerPath to not be a recruiting company, which is great because we are an education company that teaches the kids and the parents how to get to the coaches and get a college roster spot directly. And our program is developed by all college coaches. They've written the curriculum, and they appear on our panels, and they cannot work for any kind of recruiting companies, but they can work for us. So we really feel a lot of pride of being able to get not only first team players, but we pride ourselves in helping the second team and the third team in your club. Kids that can get into college, we're going to help them. So we're very honored to be here today. We're looking forward to having a great relationship with you as we go forward. And we have a couple coaches that are coaching directors on our staff, and for purposes today, they are going to be introduced with their names and that they are directors of ISoccerPath coaching ranks, but they have tons and tons of college experience, but they will not be using, because of the virus and the NCAA rules and things like that, they're going to be participating as themselves. And I think it's going to be a lot better because they'll be able to talk about a lot of things, but we won't be mentioning their colleges, and that's why we can have them, and we're honored to do that. So we're really looking forward to it. You got some great coaches here, and that know pretty much everything in D1 to D2 to D3, and I'm kind of an NAI junkie, so I can help a little bit too. So pleasure doing business with you guys. Have been so great to us, and we were looking forward to giving it back.
No, really do appreciate that, Jeff. And just to echo, we are excited to continue working with ISoccerPath. We have a lot of plans in the future to get you guys to our different events. Post COVID-19, let's see what events really look like. But, looking forward to continue to work with you, and glad we're able to get you guys on our edition of CCL Extra Time. So with that, I'll pass it over to Kai, and you can give yourself a quick introduction and some background.
Yeah, my name's Kai Edwards. Been a NCAA coach for 15 plus years, Division I head coach for going on 7 years, Division II assistant, volunteer assistant, director of ops. I've done it all. BCS and mid majors in Michigan, Arizona, California, and also been a club director at Sereno Soccer Club in Arizona, and a Development Academy Club Nationals in Michigan on the girls' side.
Perfect. Well, we welcome you, and we're glad to have you on this episode, Kai. And then next, we'll introduce Emily.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Shees. Similarly to Kai, I spent a lot of time in California coaching at the D3 level for about 7 years, and then now I'm at an NAI program going on the 3rd year there. I was a Division III player at a pretty successful program, so I can speak to that a little bit. And also work in the club realm as well, responsible for the 2003 MPL team at a local club down here in San Jose, and a couple of other groups in the 2nd tier of teams, and do a lot of work with them on just college counseling and whatnot.
So it's really good to have all 3 of you on this call. As Jeff alluded, we know during these times of COVID-19, and even just blackout periods, during the college recruitment periods, these times are very, very tight, very strenuous. So we do appreciate you guys being able to join us. So, I'll hop straight into it and ask my first question, because I know a lot of people are truly wondering, what is the recruitment process like right now? I think there was a normality before during these times, but what are you guys seeing as a recruitment process to date through this COVID-19 situation?
In general, as you look around, there's of course, there's a couple of coaches that are just, taking care of their family and not doing much, but there's a lot of coaches that are really out there watching video now and watching social medias and getting to know the players more as people and how they brand themselves off the field, and seeing, what are they posting on social media, what's important to them, but also a lot of time to watch video. I know a lot of coaches now probably watch more video and more games than they did, when you can go to a live game, because now you can wake up and put a game that someone puts a full game and sends it to you, and you can sit in your bed and watch it on your phone. So I think right now in the recruiting process, it's a lot of watching video, getting to know players more intently and individually, and then also really, like anything with kids, they have a lot of time on their hand now, and seeing how creative and inventive they are to brand themselves and show themselves to people through different avenues.
I think what Kai said there is really smart, right? I mean, we can roll out of bed and watch any kind of video, or kind of itching to see what people are sending us. I think one of the big things right now is for the players not to be disillusioned, right? I think just like coaches might be frustrated that events are canceled, 3 or 4 showcases that you maybe were planning to go to are not happening. Can you use that time where you would have been on the field to try and get a video together or try and do some research on colleges that may appeal to you, right? Really think about what you want to major in, look around at who offers what, and get emails together and reach out to those schools, right? I think I had my captain of my club team, was really kind of nervous about putting video together, and we brainstormed. She's an outside back, and we brainstormed, what a college coach would want to see from an outside back, because it's not exactly maybe clear to a 17-year-old what to send. And that was a really purposeful meeting with her. And then within a week, she had this great video to send out, and now she's hit the ground running. So I think the more you can utilize the time that you're getting back now, that you're not commuting to tournaments and games and whatnot, to really focus on a path forward for you to reach out, is all the more important.
I think, look, I'm more of a administrative talking to college coaches all across the country and getting my information so that I can make sure that what I talk about is relevant and on point. The reality is, and Kai and I were talking last night till probably 10 o'clock last night about what's going on and what's going to probably happen. And the reality is that, and I know it's horrible for 10th grade girls and 11th grade boys, and especially seniors, 12th graders that maybe still want to play and didn't have a spot to play. The reality of the situation is that for the most part, there's not going to probably be any ID camps this summer, or very little of them. And so that's something we have to deal with it. And so how do we deal with it? And the second part of that is talking to college coaches in the last 5 days. I've been amazed pretty much to hear that they've literally said about 80% of the content they get every day from around the country, around the world, emails, videos, has dropped off. And they're literally like going, why are the kids stopping? What are they doing? And that's the part I think that's the X factor. That's the thing that you can actually take a big advantage right now if you're doing what Kai and Emily said. Branding and marketing yourself, getting to know the coach as a character, your character, their character, back and forth. They're literally like begging for like new videos, and because we're looking at 2021 right now, and that's going to be the reality. And quite frankly, and I mean, I'm a pretty honest guy when it comes to this stuff. A lot of our kids, are sitting at home playing FIFA, hanging out, being bored, when they could be out using their wrong foot, the left foot, maybe hit the garage about 1,000 times. It's eating healthy, working out still. So I think the reality is that realistically is, if you don't have ID camps and you don't have tournaments this summer, what are you going to do? And the company that we started, ISoccerPath, which is available at CCNL, that's our specialty, is to make sure that this summer, May, June, July, August, every single week that you're supposed to be doing something in the recruiting process, you can still do, and you should be doing. That's what college coaches want. So that's the reality. Is we're probably looking at a season that's probably not going to happen, and not a lot of ID camps, but you have a great advantage right now if you do the things that nobody else is doing. And we offer that. And and to Emily's point, the video is probably the most important thing to get off the ground. And first 30 days, every family that joins us gets a video done for them, or they get their video done exactly like the college coaches want it. Then we actually send it to a college coach, and they get an actual eval of a division and conference recommendation, and how to maybe fix up the video a little bit. So that's an amazing opportunity. And I hear these people spend $300 for a video, and in 6 months it's no good. So just got to be proactive. Don't listen to a lot of other people. Don't listen to the internet a lot. Listen to your club coaches. Listen to the people at CCL at the highest levels that they're putting out these programs for you. But be the difference. Be the one that's out there working and eating healthy and doing what you need to do, and talking to coaches and learning how to interview and scrub your social media. And you'll be way ahead of the game, and you'll be ready for next year. And that's in lieu of maybe getting your ID camps taken away.
No, and I definitely appreciate that response from all of you guys. And I can see the benefit because like you said, some of these kids aren't taking advantage. They truly just shut down because they think the game's over. But taking advantage of sending these emails and sending video, I think is essential.
So I would say generic emails get generic responses, and a generic response is to not respond to somebody, right? So if your email is dear coach or hey, and there's nothing specific to the school or to the coach or to the environment, so you spent very little time on the specificness to that email because you're sending it to multiple people, then you can't be surprised if someone read a paragraph and deleted it when they know there wasn't a true interest. So to get interest back, there has to be a specific thought-provoking component to the email. If it's asking a question, right now, if you ask a question, then I feel a little more obligated to respond. But one thing I always say, don't ask questions you can find online. Oh, what's your mascot? Who'd you play last year? What city are you in? How many people per class? All that stuff is simple Google search. If you're allowed the time of 5 to 10 questions with the coach, don't waste 5 or 10 of them on things you can find yourself. Ask them, do you ever schedule opponents based on where your players are from? Do you have any plans in the future of playing near my hometown? What I'm working on my fitness in this time. Could you possibly tell me what your fitness test is so I can know how to train for your level? Stuff like that is thought provoking and specific, right? My high school teammate plays for you. Her name is this. I have a connection with her. I trained with her last summer. Right there, you've made a connection. You've separated yourself from 2,000 emails, right? And now, when you have thought-provoking emails with more specific information, you have a better chance of getting more specific and thought-provoking responses. Also, if you think about it, when you're marketing yourself and branding and advertising yourself, because that's what an email is, you almost want to go against the norm of what normal marketing is, which all emails come out Monday morning, right? No emails come out on a weekend, stuff like that, right? If you look at when do airlines email you and when do stuff, so you throw an email at 11 o'clock on Wednesday, you're probably going to be by yourself. If you send an email on a timer that goes out 8:30 a.m. on a Monday, you're going to be in a pile of a bunch of other emails, right? So that doesn't mean send one out 2 a.m. on Thursday, but be creative in your times, be specific, have eye-catching without being dumb subject lines, and try to make a direct connection to a school and have thought-provoking questions that are specific, and I definitely agree with Em. The way I always say it, if you really like someone, well, when are you going to stop asking them out? You stop asking them out when they either say no or they say yes. You don't just sit there and wait for a year. So
my answers come from the college panels over the last couple of years of having 300 college coaches that we've literally interviewed over 3 or 4 years. So I take all of their information and I try to put it into our program that we give families. But the emails, well, you got to figure that a normal college coach in the United States probably gets on average during a regular season 30 to 50 a day. Okay. And those are all usually have videos too. On a big tournament weekend, like one of those big college, like Vegas or Surf or something like that, it's not uncommon for a coach such as a Notre Dame, a UCLA, a North Carolina, something like that to get, and I've seen it, 200 to 300 a day. Come watch my game, come watch my game, come watch, and reminding. So what we've learned is, and I'm touched a little bit with, you got about 10 to 15 seconds to grasp, to get their attention, or they're going to just float off and do the next 40 or 50. And that means the subject, believe it or not, the subject line, how you address the coaches, that first line has to be exactly on point with what Kai said. You did some research. I would bet, I think the biggest thing I've learned over the time is everything I thought as a parent about emails, I was completely wrong. And because I listened to other parents, I listened to, internet and stuff like that, until I found out that, and Kai and Emily can attest to this because they've sat on our panels before. The last thing we do of the night is the coaches say the 10 top things, kind of secrets that they want to see. And then we actually write one out loud. Every coach, we write it, and every coach will raise their hand and say, I would open that email. And you guys would be shocked to know it's about, Kai, 8 sentences? That's all they want to see. And we pride ourselves in getting emails opened. But it's being different. I've had, we specialize, and you mentioned it first, we specialize in some characters on the subject line. Okay. Because the subject line is going to grab people. I've seen one of the ones we use a lot is, I don't need money my first year. Every coach loves that. I'll open that one. Okay. Or it could be, we have a couple other ones. I'm a 6'5" goalie who runs a 4-4, 40. And I can also play forward. I scored 40 goals this year. And they open it up and I'm just kidding. I'm a 5'6", forward. I didn't really score a lot of goals, but I'm really want to be on just those type of things set the normal apart, because you got to remember, every college coach we've ever had on the panel has said the same thing. If I open my emails, the first ones I see from recruiting companies, I'm just deleting and I'm subscribing. So it's a complete, it's shifted now to a personality, character-based marketing. I mean, you're just trying to sell yourself. And one coach on our panel in Oklahoma once said, listen, if you're going to date me, at least give me, aren't I worth 15 minutes of dating? Because you're going to spend hundreds of dollars and 4 or 5 hours asking a girl out to the junior prom. Aren't I worth 15 minutes of your time? So they really want it personal. And I know kids, 13, 14, they don't know how to do it. They're used to working with their thumbs. So we've got to get them out of that comfort zone, teach them how to interview with a college coach, what questions to ask, and more importantly, what questions not to ask that we've compiled. So it's right now with this COVID thing, emails are amazingly important. And yeah, you don't want to do them enough where the cops are going to knock on your door and say, we got a call about a stalker here in this house. I mean, you don't want to, just every day. But I think the best thing is like maybe once a week, maybe once every 10 days. Hey coach, I'm following up to the email I sent you last week. Hey, by the way, I wanted to let you know, since then I did this. I was in a game, or you can't say that. I watched some of your games from YouTube from the last couple of years to see what kind of, positions work and how I can fit into yours. They love that stuff, but nobody thinks to do it. So that's, it's really important, and it's so easy to do, and just have fun with it, and you'll get a lot of good results.
All right, this question's going out to the coaches here. Y'all haven't had your team there for most of the spring workouts are kind of, physically not there. What do you think the effect on team chemistry on your team, not just playing on the field, but I know spring's a big, social aspect as well. The soccer house is usually more energetic during the spring, more active. So what do y'all think, what taking time off here will affect your team?
Yeah, I think in general, the one interesting thing is everyone's in the same boat, right? So it changed from, schools on quarter systems going until June with their team and semesters done May 1st to everyone was done by mid-March, right? So there was no inherent advantage, to a quarter system or semester system school, or a school being able to give summer school or anything like that. So it actually resorted back to the players way more than coach driven, right? So now the athletes have to do a lot more because of the rules that the NCAA has put on us. The athletes are in control more, right? Before we can say, let's have more meetings, let's chat, let's do this. And now like they have to interact with each other without running into each other in a dorm room or in a classroom or in the cafeteria. So they have to be way more outgoing in the approach. And I think that's things coaches are doing right now, is encouraging that outreach, check in with a teammate, have a chat, like, have a chat, battle workouts outside, who cares, right? Along with having team meetings. The NCAA has allowed 8 hours for Division One. I don't know about two right now, but Division One's allowed 8 hours of CAR, accountable athletic related activity, a week, so they can require meetings. And now they can require meetings with the incoming players with the returners for 8 hours a week. So coaches can have anything from a sports psychologist come in, to a nutritionist, to a motivational speaker, to a leadership meeting, to just have a chat. They can do whatever. So I think right now you're seeing what coaches are looking at the issue and saying this is an issue, and what coaches are being creative. And I think that's something as a student athlete, and a prospect right now getting older, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, that's a question to ask the coaches you're looking at, in your email. What are a couple things you're doing, and I think one thing it will do is it'll show you how creative a coach might be, right? And that's going to be a direct correlation to, on Sunday, 2 players are hurt, you're sitting on yellow cards and it's hot. Well, the coach who's creative now is going to be creative and trying to find a way to win in college game on a Sunday when it's difficult. The ones that aren't being creative right now are probably a little more stagnant in their approach in a regular season. So I think it's good information of almost interviewing of the coach right now of what are some things you were doing, because you're going to see, are they creative in thought, and is that something you want to be around?
Yeah, I agree with Kai there, and all the myriad of ways, in some, the myriad of ways you can stay in touch. I mean, in some ways, I feel like the COVID-19 for us made it so that we would, be more connected in a cerebral kind of chalk talk way than we would have if we were just going about our business and done, like, come May 1st. So I think that the what I tell the college kids is similar to what I tell the club kids, and that's, this is kind of the longest off season that you've had, right? Like, can you learn to work on your own, but also stay connected to a group, right? The high schoolers are going to have the same issue once they're seniors graduating, prepping to go to college and trying to stay fit on their own and whatnot, maybe for the first time, right? If their team's aged out. So you're really in the same boat as you would as a high schooler be as a college student that's got to have that discipline and motivation to focus on all the individual, technical and strength and physical aspects that you can work on during this time period. And I think on the college level, like, checking in with those coaches whose schools you're interested in, have they just thrown in the towel, or are they using this as a time in which that they can find new ways of connecting with players, new ways of virtually getting players involved with one another. And I mean, I don't know specifically, I'm NAI, so I don't know if there's rules on what I can say we're doing, but they have a buddy that they're working with. They have to check in weekly with, proof of life. That can include a video of, the workout. I've already got a couple, text messages here and there about things that are going. And we usually start our packet May 1st. So this is and this is pretty much, right, the 16 weeks until, like, to count down back to season. So I think the more that you can get incoming freshmen involved in that as a college coach, the better. And so it's good that we're given that leeway now. But I think that the more that club players can check, can include those kinds of questions in the emails they're sending about how the coaches are reaching out, will reveal a lot about, that coach and whether it's a program they want to go play for.
So, want to just pop right into the first question for any of you to answer is, during these unprecedented times of the COVID-19 situation, what advice would you give to the high school player, that is still looking to be college bound?
I'd love to jump on that just because of an experience I had yesterday. So very timely, here's the advice. You really have to know yourself, and you have to put in some research to find out what your situation is, what your goals and objectives are. And what I mean by that is that if you can focus in on select schools, find out what those schools need, and if you understand that these crazy times have led to a very fluid situation, then you can capitalize on it, okay? So for example, there are programs around the country, they don't know if they're going to be playing in the fall or not, and they don't know if their 2020 class is actually coming. So they don't know if they're going to have a season or not, and they don't know if their 2020 players are coming or not. Because not everybody wants to go online. No, but not everybody wants to travel to the other side of the country. Not everybody is comfortable in the decision that they necessarily made during the earlier part of the year and as a part of that preliminary recruiting cycle. And so, for example, just yesterday, a kid decided that he wanted to play college soccer after all, to move from the JUCO to an NAIA school. And, we sort of talked about how best to reach out, and we put together sort of a profile, and we just use the ISP model. I mean, you just go in and you enter information that creates you as a package. And when a kid does that, gets to know him or herself, the college program that they are targeting, and then it was just a matter of placing an email, a preliminary email, and then setting up a phone call. And all of a sudden, here is this coach, extends him an offer, sight unseen, never having seen him play. Now, there's some video involved, right? But the really, really important part to understand about how this has changed is not so much the on-field thing, because obviously coaches are not going to be able to watch you play right now, but it's doing the coach's due diligence for them. So the kid had his transcripts ready, his test scores ready, an inventory of personal essays ready to go. And so was able to present himself as a complete package to a coach in a situation that made the coach feel comfortable enough to extend him an offer. So again, just to kind of recap, this is not a time where you have the opportunity to, quote unquote, show your stuff, because there are no competitions. So there's the video component, and you're limited to that. But the most important parts are understanding yourself, understanding the college programs, understanding the situation that college coaches find themselves, and then having a process. In other words, you have to learn how to become a college soccer player. And that's it in a nutshell.
No, and I think that's great advice. Just making sure you are prepared right now, because this is extremely uncertain.
Yeah.
I think we're going day to day, and things are changing hour by hour. So we are in that current situation, but it is appropriate for these players to just be prepared for when that time comes. Have all your stuff organized to be able to provide it directly to the coach. So when they do ask you don't look unorganized. So I think that's perfect.
Speaking of preparedness, not just as a player nowadays, but even, going to college as a regular student, colleges want to see your resume and what you've done in the past. How important is that while going through the recruiting process?
I think for me, I could speak to that, Ryan. A resume for me is the first thing that, might be able to get you excited about someone before seeing, highlights. Some kids are kind of grafting out their highlights and going through that process depending on the year that they're in their high school process. Sometimes at least being able to look at a playing background, level of club. Does the kid have elite academy experience, club experience, national team experience, whatever it is. And then, of course, it's different during the times, right? For right now, it's really about seeing video and creating some sort of a highlight video that would get that college coach really excited about the skill set that you could provide to that program. And then from there, especially during these times, it's now evaluating and breaking down a full game or seeing 2 or 3 full games. Some programs have the luxuries of having people that can break it down so we can get a player on every touch, so we don't have to watch a full 90 minutes and all these kids that are coming in. Other ones just kind of have to sit down with a cup of coffee and grind it out and watch the player. But during these times specifically, I think a lot about it is, having a good, well-organized resume, and then coming forth with some good highlights to get excited, and then obviously having that full game ready to send along if you've had the ability to film it, so we can try to make decisions on guys during this time.
Yeah, I think I'll kind of dovetail this, but I want to get into a little bit of the personal growth side as well. Certainly Adam's spot on and Tibor's spot on. You need to have all your ducks in a row and be prepared to be able to just put that portfolio out to one of those potential colleges. But I think in that process, we're in a time right now where the lazy can be very lazy. There are no scheduled practices, okay? The college coaches are sending out basically summer workout programs, right? Here's what you need to follow, but yet they cannot hold those players accountable. They cannot call and check and make sure they're doing that running. Let me see you do the weights and things like that. So this is a great opportunity for those players that, let's say they're a B level player compared to the A, but as I said, the lazy can get lazy right now very easy because there's no accountability to them but themselves. So if you can really just set aside time during your day right now to get out and work on the things that are going to make you better, you're going to start to catch that A-level player and make them the B-level player. Part of that process sits in this idea of getting yourself exposure to these college coaches. Tibor explained it great with the ISoccerPath, the mechanisms there for you. I recommend setting an hour out of every day to just do your research and start to communicate to these coaches. Give them your Twitter feed or give them your handle for Instagram and show them every day what you're doing. But you got to go out every day. You got to say, hey, today is my weights day. And you got somebody showing your plyometrics and work ethic. Today's technical day and you're dribbling through cones and hitting shots. Whatever it may be, you got to be creative on that side. But there needs to be a mechanism in place and a regimented schedule that you're spending an hour researching your colleges that you have interest, making those phone calls, making those emails, trying to reach out to them. Because, it is a dead period right now for those college coaches. They can't go out and see you personally. You can't come to their campuses. But what you can do is interact on social media platforms. You can interact through email. You can interact through phone calls. And so if you spend that 1 hour a day, you're going to put yourself in front of a lot of those other lazy people who are not reaching out to those colleges. Then you set another hour out of your day on your actual trade. And I mean, as a soccer player. Then you got functional responsibilities within your trade. If you're a wide player, whipping in services, showing one-on-one skill stuff. Those are all things that you can, upload onto your Instagrams. That's probably the wrong word for today's youth. But you can get all that onto your Instagrams, your Snapchats, your Twitters. And if those coaches are following you, they're going to see that you're a truly dedicated athlete. And then you've got to prove yourself that you're skillful enough. And hopefully you'll get the follow-up to say, hey, can you send me some game film?
So another piece that I'd want to add is, with that, how many emails should they send until they get a response? Because, sometimes coaches are busy. And I could imagine even during these times, they still do have a lot going on. So they maybe can't respond instantly. But, I've heard the question before, hey, I've sent out 4 emails. I haven't heard a response. Should I continue to send it or should I move on and look at the next school? And so what's your guys' take on that question?
I think there's the weird way that recruiting is like dating, right? Like you're worried that you're sending too many texts or you're worried that you're sending too many emails. I've also talked to players that like, I sent an email, I never heard back. Well, how long ago was that? 4 months ago before this other tournament, and maybe they were younger. Maybe they couldn't be written back to directly, like 4 months ago. So I really feel like, being aware of the division that the schools that you're writing to are, like, are they D1 and D2? Are they NAIA or D3? What kind of level of response can you expect to get? Right? Have you seen these coaches at your games? Have you had any actual response where they may or may not be interested? I think these are all levels of letting the interest level. And then I think like at this time period, just sending out, a new email saying, hey, might have been out of touch for a while, but I'm really still interested. I want to find ways to connect. Can we plan a call? Can we plan, a visit once this all, goes away or restrictions loosen this summer? I think those are all things that you can do now, and you don't want to worry about being annoying, right? I think that's the kind of the biggest, nerve-wracking thing for the kids is that they worry they're going to send too many notes.
Adam, how much are you looking at players' profiles and social medias during recruiting process?
Specific like social media, like their like kids' Twitter accounts, Facebooks, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think once we've identified that we like a player, and even past places I've been, the full picture of a player's character is everything. And even my boss the other day was talking to a prospect about that, because for us, here, culture is everything. So how a young man represents himself on the field when we can get to watch that player, how he's interacting with his teammates, referees, his family after the game. Those are all little details that we watch. But to your point, at this time, what kids are tweeting, what kids are saying, what kids are putting out there on their Facebook. Are they, a big partier? They're into that culture? Or are they pretty committed and just kind of maybe tweeting about the right things? I guess if there's anything, putting out in social media, that's the right thing. But yeah, I mean, I'd say once we get past the point where we are interested in a player, we'll try to look into different phases of their life within reason to make sure that we're bringing in the right individual into what is a delicate culture, because the culture piece is important to our success.
No, just to go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah. So first of all, the tentacles that came out of this answer from everybody, you could not have to ask another question. There's so much good advice that just came out of that question that could take us in so many different directions. I think the first thing I'd like to just to piggyback on what a couple of people said. Mo said, if you're a high schooler, well, let's identify what a high schooler is, because obviously nobody's playing high school soccer right now. But I think, Mo, correct me if I'm wrong, but you meant the 9th, 10th, and 11th graders. Yeah, that's the age group you were talking about, and possibly some 12th graders. And I think that I think that 80% of coaches that I have talked to in the last 2 or 3 weeks, to a T, have all said the same thing. Okay, where did the kids go? Why am I not getting my normal 50 emails and 50 videos a day? I'm still getting them from the recruits that want to come from overseas, but for some reason I'm not getting. What are these kids doing? Why did they stop? Is kind of and maybe Adam and let me kind of touch on that a little bit. But to touch on again, you guys brought up so much stuff. Every college coach that has sat in our panels in the last 12 months has said the exact same thing. We are not recruiting grades and we're not recruiting talent right now, because we already know going in to see the person everything we need to know. We're basing our final decision whether to give the spot to him or the other right back that can get forward and has good grades, their character. And the things that they are looking for would amaze parents and kids. These little things that every coach has, their little things that they're watching for. They're watching you warm up, but you probably don't know. They're watching you how you, Coach Adam said it. They're watching how you treat your mom and dad after the game. They're watching you walk to the parking lot. How are your parents interacting with you in the parking lot? There's so much stuff that nobody understands. All it takes is one walk up to your mom after you had a bad game and throw the backpack at, or your mom or dad and say, let's go. You immediately, and please coaches, you're immediately gone off the list. They don't have time for that. There's 15 or 16 kids that play your position. So segueing, the reason everybody's talking about character is you have to market and brand yourself right now. How are you going to be marketing the University of Virginia or San Diego State or something like that? What is your brand going to be like? It includes the character. Social media is huge. I mean, we at ISoccerPath, we have a whole part of our program where the kids learn how to manage their social media footprint and go through it every week and take all the bad stuff off that maybe they don't notice on there. And this is stuff that's going to help them later on in life. You can't get a job nowadays without having a social media footprint. The other part is how to communicate with a college coach. Okay. Being a dad, I remember with my kids, they'd run into the room, they'd close the door, they'd put a blanket underneath so I couldn't hear, and me and mom were up there listening, trying to listen. I certainly wouldn't want to be a parent right now of a recruitable kid. I think I would go bonkers. And if I was the son of those parents, that's probably even worse, because it's just so much tension right now. And Tibor, I think, said it, opportunity. And we talked about this last week, Mo. This is so much opportunity right now because 2021s are pretty much wide open where they weren't before. And a lot of kids are decommitting from 2020. So if you're a 12th grader right now, you have a chance to find a school if you still want to play. And if you lost out on your dream school, guess what? You can now start going back to that dream school. You never know. And again, it's all how you communicate. And so you don't have ID camps for the most part this summer. You're probably not going to have tournaments. So what else can you be doing to take up that time? And that's, I think, is the most important thing, is working, like Lev said, working on your left foot maybe. Are you inside playing FIFA and eating pizza on the phone, on the headphones with your friends? Are you outside on your left foot banging it against the garage 1,000 times? Because they're not recruiting your parents. Your parents have done everything they can for you, okay? And they're going to continue to do that. But at the end of the day, you're the one who you have to get out there. Coaches, if a coach gets an email and you're working with a recruiting service, they're literally not opening them. I can guarantee you that every college coach has said, I want to hear from the kid. If I'm recruiting you or we're dating, then I expect you to spend some time dating and being inquisitive of what we're doing. So we teach the kids how to communicate, how to email. We'll probably talk about this later. This is what Mo and I had a fun discussion with after last week. There's so many little secrets on an email, right, Mo, that he shared with his little sister after that nobody knows. And there's just so many things what questions to ask of a college coach, which questions not to ask. What are the secret tips at an ID camp that coaches are looking for? You can't get any of that, because you guys are very lucky that you're with CCL, because they're class act. They're our biggest account. They take care. All they do is care about the club and the families and doing stuff like this. So I'm really proud to be part of it, and we're really happy that we can help you guys. But don't get down. Don't get discouraged. Okay, I know it's easy to, but opportunity is there if you just start doing the right things. Thank you.
No, I think that's a lot of good topics covered. And the one thing is, making sure these student athletes understand that they are creating a culture within a program. So being able to identify that, and I won't create East Coast and West Coast beef on the call, but we did have the UVA the Shuttler brothers on a couple weeks ago, and we understand.
All this UVA dominance, Mo. Come on, man.
I love it.
We understand. We understand.
You love it now.
Culture.
You love it now.
Yeah.
One more thing, Mo. One thing too is Adam said something critical. Probably doesn't even know what it was, but there's a big difference between the word resume and bio, and you wouldn't think that there is, but there is. Believe it or not, many coaches almost if you put a bio in your email and you have to attach it so they have to leave your email and go to read it, the chances are they're not coming back. Okay, and besides, they don't need to know that you scored 78 goals when you're on the butterflies at U8, or your goals against average at U9 was 6. And trust me. So think about it as a resume is the correct word, but imagine putting the resume in the body of the first paragraph of the email. So and Coach Adams nodding his head, which is great. That little thing could be the difference of leaving your email and not coming back to it. And it's the same thing with attaching. You can attach a video, but if you don't catch them in the first 10 seconds with something different, and again, that's what we do, is they'll just, one assistant coach told me the best thing one time. He goes, make me a video that when my head coach is screaming at me to run around, go get him coffee and go get his dry cleaning and leave my desk or something, I want to come back and finish your video. Make me want to come back and finish it. I thought was a great thing. So I just wanted to throw that in, but please don't get caught up on bios and taking coaches somewhere else. You've got about 10, 15 seconds to really grab their attention and keep reading that email. And if I'm incorrect, coaches, please, validate that or invalidate it.
So that segues me into my
coaches are, so that I should have hired them. Go get my dry cleaning. Go get my coffee.
Okay, that was extreme.
But I'll jump in and add something on that question of bios and resumes and the difference in being able to sell yourself. One of the great things about this program that Jeff has developed is if you go through the steps, what you're in essence doing is not working just towards a college opportunity. you are engaging yourself in the first job search of your life. This is a life skill that is best learned at 15, 16, 17. And so it's important to remember that fundamentally, and Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, but a college coach wants to know the answer to one question. When you're a teenager, you're a soccer player, and you want to play for that program, that coach has responsibility for that program. The question they're asking themselves is, what can this kid do for me? So if it's a right back that's overlapping, if it's a player that has a weaker left foot, then obviously there's some doubt. And you want to make sure that the coach knows exactly what you can do for them, which brings me back to my original point from the first question is you have to know yourself. And if you yourself know that you're not good enough in a certain area, then you've got to improve it. Somebody was talking about CCL's history. It's funny, I was just reading an article in Soccer America this morning, and I saw that your soccer ambassador is Daryl G. Now, there's a name I haven't heard from for a few years because I've been on the West Coast. I played very briefly with Daryl G, and if you're a 15 or 16 or 17-year-old kid at CCL, something I'd recommend you do is, number one, walk up to Daryl G and ask him for his autograph. Because Daryl G, in his day, was God. There was no American player more exciting to watch than him. And secondly, I would ask him to give you just one tip, just one thing that I can do. Daryl, teach me just one thing that you used to do when you were a young player. I heard you were great, whatever. But really improve on those subtle facets of your game so that when you are going through the process of selling yourself, you can speak to your character, you can speak to your technical skills, your tactical skills, you can show your fitness on social media and so forth. Anyways, I'll leave it at that because we probably have limited time, but I'm just saying, kids, go and talk to Daryl G.
I think DG is going to love that shout out. But no, the segue there is a lot of good information, but how do these players now draft up these emails to make sure they're getting read? You know, I think it's a lot of good information to be provided, but as Jeff has alluded to, sometimes, you know, there's not enough time for these coaches to really say, I'm going to really read into this. So what should a player really be doing to make sure my email is getting read, my email is getting opened, and I'm going to leave just a massive imprint so these guys will be able to follow my Facebook page, follow my Instagram, and they want to stay and connect with me?
I think the quickest thing that I would throw out there is just be concise, succinct and concise. And what I mean is short and sweet. As we've talked about, you know, 50 emails a day, thousands over the course of a season. When I see an email that looks like a dissertation, to be hyperbolic, it strays me away right off the bat. I think a quick, you know, introduction, a quick why I like the school to personalize it. I think that's a very key one, that you are actually doing some research to understand that I'm actually at San Diego State University and not the University of San Diego or UC San Diego, which I cannot tell you how many emails I received with those headings, and, you know, I'm on the other side of the Highway 8. So, you know, the short, concise, personalized thing is very important. Getting to the resume idea, I think quick bullet points to what your successes are and what separates you from others. And then the highlight video, because we will go into that for sure if everything else is there. And when I say concise, I do think it's important to get your GPA in there and your SAT in there, because you know, if you want to go to Stanford and you have a 2.9 GPA, you've got the wrong choice there, and there's no reason to continue that communication. So that's a little bit to you doing your research and whatnot on what schools fit your levels. You know, again, to that side of it, if you're a 3-year junior varsity player and you just made varsity, you know, and I hope this is okay, Adam, you know, Virginia's probably not the school for you when they've got, you know, countless national championships. So know your fit, know your profile and where it's going to be received. Hit those schools with a short, concise, bullet point type email. It's very important to have some highlight videos in today's world. The graphics will go a long way.
I would agree with that completely. And I guess just to add to that, proofreading. I mean, it's a part of the job interview you guys touched on before, but it does kind of bother me a little bit if I get an email from a kid and he says, I'd love to be at the University of Maryland, and, somewhere in the body or in the subject. And it's a small mistake, but it still means that you really care and who you're writing to, or you're just blasting out to 200 coaches and you're not being specific in detail with your college search. So, all great points about bullets and kind of who you are, where you're from, where your club is, and making it as succinct and well summarized as possible, but also just taking a moment to read it through because it's an important first impression. And usually I'll take the time to correct the young man and mention it and say, hey, either come to camp or I'll try to watch you. But I know, a lot of coaches will just kind of bin off the email and put it in the trash and not read it because, they didn't take the time to personalize it. So that would be my best advice, is make sure that it's a personalized and summarized message.
Right. Okay, so this is a great question, great answers so far. I think that one of our taglines at our company is, we will get your emails opened, your videos watched, and college coaches to your games. At the end of the day, as a parent and as a player, those are the three things you want. And over the course of the 4 years and 300 college panels around the country and listening to almost 400 college coaches, the last question we ask every night is, coaches, what would you do to open an email and keep reading it? And coaches, what would you do when you open an email? Would you automatically delete it? Same thing for the video. And over the course of those years, I've compiled the answers into literally, you would be surprised to know that a short 2-paragraph email, coaches will every time will say, yes, we'll open that one. And less is more in this case. College coaches, especially the ones we have on the D1s and stuff like that, they get more than 50 a day from not only the country, but around the world. If you go to a tournament week, like a Surf Cup or something like that, and Adam and Liv, you can say that. I talked to the Notre Dame coach last summer. He said he was getting 500 a week the 2 or 3 weeks prior to Surf Cup. 500 different players saying, come to my game, come to my game, come to my game. And so being able to be different, being able to set yourself apart, being able to get a coach to go, wow, or I'm going to keep reading this one, or this is one, even if it's a 9th or 10th grader, we keep this one on file because this person's got something. And I'm going to give away all secret tips, but some of the things that we don't think about as parents is a lot of recruiting companies on the site will have templates to use. College coaches know their templates. And by the way, parents, college coaches know that you're writing their emails. They know that you're not a 16-year-old girl or boy when you write the email. So you don't want to be on the wall of shame. You don't want to be on the wall of shame in a coach's office when they need a good laugh, they walk over and they start reading a letter from a 14-year-old boy that talks about anti-disestablishmentarianism rules and regulations and things like that. So you got to remember this. It's a very important thing when communicating with a college coach. Emailing and then talking. These coaches are not monsters. They may look like them, they may act like them, but at the end of the day, their job full time is to talk to 15 to 18-year-old boys every day. They know they're going to be nervous. They know they're going to make mistakes. They know the parents are going to try to horn in a little bit. They're watching how the parents get involved. So a good email, a very good email basically starts with, believe it or not, the subject line. The subject line could be a make or break, okay? And college coaches probably get 99 of the same subject lines a day. Coach, I want to go to your school, or do you have spots available in 2021, or I'm really interested. That is kind of boring. So think of putting things like, I don't need money my first year. That's a great one that we teach. Coaches love to open that one. Or I'm a 6'5" goalkeeper that's also scored 48 goals. Okay. Or I play for the so-and-so club in the CCL, and so-and-so is my director of coaching. Okay. Those will all get looked at. And by the way, the 6'5" goalkeeper one, when you open it, it says, I was just kidding. I'm really 5'7" and I'm an outside back and I don't run very fast, but and you can see he's smiling. It's going to keep him reading.
That was Dallas J's subject.
Yeah, that's right. So again, I bet you.
I'm going to know where these kids are coming from in the next year.
I never knew this stuff. And so now that we know it, that's why we say our emails get open. And so far, when a kid sees, when a coach sees that they're coming from ISoccerPath, they're going to go, you know what? I know this is going to be a good email. I know they're going to be vetted character-wise. I know the video is going to be tight, and I know they can play at my school. And I know the parents can afford the first year. That's the 5 things that we make sure of, because we don't want to waste the coach's time or your time. So another quick thing is, believe it or not, how you address the coaches, okay, is a big thing. I've had coaches say, if you say, Dear John, Adam, and Lev, they won't even open it because they don't think it's formal, and why are you calling them by their first name? I've heard that. But at the ultimate part of the day, it's basically, this is the email. I'll do it very quickly, and I'm not going to give all the, like I said, the tips, but it's, Dear coaches, so-and-so and so. This is so-and-so. I'm a 5'7". I'm a 5'9" midfielder that I can use both feet. I have a 4.0 GPA. I'm very interested in your school. Excuse me. Let me phrase that. After hello coaches, congratulations on your team winning the GPA award in the conference this year. Okay, one sentence that sets it apart, that looks like you did some research on the thing. What, you know, congratulations on winning the league. Congratulations on that big upset of San Diego State last week. And so what you don't want to do is congratulations on a great season and they're 3-21. You got to make sure you actually read the articles. But that type of personal thing will go right into the, I'm a so-and-so GPA, I'm an outside back, and I'm going to be coming to the upcoming Surf Cup or your ID camp. I would really appreciate if you take a look at my video below, and I would like to be able to call you or call you after. And here's my club or director of coaching contact and my high school counselor's contact. Coaches want those 2. They don't need to have for 7 coaches. 1 for soccer, and 1 they say, we want to know what your personality is like outside of the soccer field at like a school and get your character. That email right there. Adam, you'd open that email? Yeah. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah. No, sorry, my dogs are barking, but yeah, no, absolutely.
And I wish you could, and I'll be sending you in a couple of days my game schedule and my jersey number, something that lets you continue to have things. But you don't want to send the same email every day or every week, because you'll get a knock at your door from probably some sheriffs about stalking. But you definitely, you know, hey coach, I didn't hear back from you last week. I just want to let you know we played the #1 team in the state last week and I scored the winning goal. That's it. It's an update. And there's a science to these emails as well as the videos, which we could probably talk about another time. But that's it. I mean, that's very passionate about the email. It leads to, how do you talk to a college coach on the phone, and how do you, because if the boys are listening here, you're not going to get a spot on any college roster unless you can talk to a college coach face to face. And when the college coach says the first question, which is always the first, so tell me about yourself, and you look at your mom and you look at your dad and you don't know how to answer that one, it's pretty much over. So you've got to practice interviewing with your parents and adults. And so again, it's a whole process to be prepared. And we have all that. And I just say, it's just, you can so much set yourselves apart by being able to talk to college coaches verbally in front of them. It'll give you such a great advancement from everybody else. So again, sorry to be so passionate about it, but emails that come from recruiting companies and videos that you have to pay $300 for, you don't need any of that stuff. Trust me. So, okay, I'm done being passionate.
No, so I would ask an additional question to that is, you know, now that the coach has responded to your first email, and then, you know, as a player, you're super excited. You're like, yes, I got Adam to hit me back. He actually responded. And then he responds again. And then maybe you're caught up in life. When is it too many emails coming? Or how should they now make sure, okay, I'm not annoying, but I want to hear from coach again? So what would be the best advice there?
I think the 2 coaches should answer that, but I will say that if you walk into a coach's office and he said, the coach asks you, have you seen what kind of formation do we play? And you don't know the answer. And have you ever seen one of our games? And you go, no. Then he's going to go, so why are you emailing me telling me you're going to help me win a championship? It's very embarrassing, and it happens a lot. So I would say watch games, and coaches love to get an email like this. Hey, coach, I just watched your game against UCLA online. Your number 8, your player number 8 on the outside, that's my position. I could see myself taking his place when he graduates. That's Adam, Lev, that would catch your eye. I mean, that's confidence, but different than everybody else is doing. And that's what we're trying to prove. So sorry, I'll let the coaches answer because that's more important.
I think for me personally, it's very cut and dry, and it has been a lot for recent places I've been. And it depends on, how many kids we're looking at for a class, wherever I've been, how many guys are trying to bring in and what position. To your point before, leading up to Jefferson Cup when I was at JMU, we had 300, 350 emails, to try to watch kids going into that tournament. So, I'm maybe a little bit different than most college coaches. I respond to every single email that comes in my inbox. I take the time to respond to every single kid that writes because there's always diamonds in the rough. And I don't think you're doing due diligence and finding the right players if you just look at, he's playing for the best academy or whatever, even if, where we are now. So, if I'm really interested in a highlight video, personally or a kid, I will reach out with a more personalized email, maybe try to get the kid on the phone or ask for some more information. And if I see maybe a little bit on a highlight video, but would just rather kind of push him towards a camp, so we could see him live or the next showcase, I'm a little bit more generic, to the point we get, me personally, even over the COVID time, I'll call it, it's about 50, 100 emails a week between myself and the other assistant coach from all over the world. So certainly trying to keep up with those and give answers, but oftentimes I'll give something generic when things come back online. Hopefully we'll see you live. And if there is too much follow-up or kids really getting on me for a phone call, and no offense to those kids, but I just don't have time to live my life as a human being and have a girlfriend and a life if I'm getting on the phone with every single kid that wants a call. Of course, I'd love to shoot the breeze a little bit, but, if I'm getting on a phone with a kid, it's getting to a stage where, I really want to get down to the depth of that kid, figure out where he's coming from, get to know how he interacts, to your point, and then move the process forward. But like I said, if it's a little bit more generic, then it's not to be discouraged about, but we just need to see, that player more live or even have him come to camp and then give that person a chance to really stand out to us in that setting. That's at least how I've worked over the past few years of my college career.
Boy, are you going to get a lot of emails now after this thing.
I know this is bad. Maybe we shouldn't put this out there.
As soon as you said that, I was like, "Oh my God!" There's only a couple thousand. There's only a couple thousand boys that are going to watch this. So.
You're at UNC now, right?
Say goodbye to that girlfriend. Say goodbye to the girlfriend for a while.
She actually gives me a lot of grief because she wonders why I respond. But I went to a Division III program myself. I was an underdog. Knock on wood. I didn't get heavily recruited, and for every kid that wants that dream and the passion of playing for a college program, I just do my best to try to steer them. And I know, UVA or any ACC program, it's not for everyone. Obviously it's for the best of the best, but, I'm a firm believer there's a college program for everyone in this country. And kids need to do a good job of diversifying lists, looking 1 through 3, looking at NAIAs, JUCOs, prep school route. For some guys that maybe don't have a home, they can go to prep school in New England. I used to be a prep school coach at an all-PG boys school, so there's that extra year to restart your recruitment. That I think is a great option for people. But, I know I'm probably going to my inbox is going to flood in the next couple of weeks. But,
you could bribe Brian. You could bribe Brian to take it out.
That's all right. Lev, what do you think?
I think that's good. Anybody else have something to say on that?
I will say one thing. I'll tell one funny story about emails that we heard about 2 years ago. I feel there was a college coach who received an email from a recruit, boys coach. Well, he CC'd every single men's college coach of every single college in the United States. It was like 700 names. But his name, so it was 700 people. So, and this is as the story goes, one coach decided to open it and respond. And all he said was, I think you forgot somebody. And he actually got in trouble. He actually got in trouble from his AD, but that just goes to show you that, you want to make these emails personal. That's all. So yeah, it was a good story.
Thank you guys for joining us. This was really good information, and it's not just for college recruitment. You can use a lot of this advice for getting a job, doing more in life than just, playing soccer in college. So we thank y'all, and
thank you.
Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for having us.
If I could get, and this may piece in somewhere, but this is a good little anecdote.
Where's that button, Ryan? Where's that button?
Yeah. Listen to the pot calling the kettle black right now. When you sit and you look at these diamonds in the rough, as Adam said, the anecdote that I have, and it aligns with what Jeff was talking about with creativity in the subject line. Tally Hall was a 2-time All-American for me, was an MLS All-Star, played in Europe, and he was the backup goalkeeper for his club team. Now, he'll say he was the backup goalkeeper because the other goalkeeper was the coach's son. But long story short of this little anecdote is, when we had to go see him play, we didn't know anything about him in San Diego and didn't have a recruiting budget at the time to go up to Seattle. We told him to send a video, and we told him to send one of, his goalkeeper trainer putting him through a workout. The beauty of his video was when it came to us, it started out with the perspective of about probably 30 yards behind the goal. And these shots were going, and this kid is just diving like Superman, literally Superman. And the balls are going under him, they're going in. And in the background, you're hearing, hey, my name's Tally Hall. I play for such and such. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me that this kid's serious about our school. Well, about 30 seconds into
I've seen this video.
It's phenomenal. 30 seconds into the video, he walks in front of the camera and says, by the way, that's my younger brother. He'll be in the class of whatever it was at that time. He then doesn't go straight to soccer. He then went to him wakeboarding. Now, this is a 6'4", 205-pound guy sitting on a wakeboard, hitting these wakes and doing flips in the air.
Oh.
Then he gets into the soccer side, okay? So what I'm getting at, there was creativity, there was humor, there was a cross athleticism in it, and then ultimately we went out to Surf Cup, and by the way, he did not play. I had to watch his warm-up, we go to warm-ups to see what you do. The first time he collected a ball and his shoulders were at the crossbar, come on down, like, let's go. And I gave you the story of what his resume was after that. Had I not done my due diligence, as Adam's talking, had he not been as creative and utilized different types of athleticism, so if you play basketball or you play other sports and you have highlights in that, I always enjoyed the multi-sport athlete. And I think that can be very well represented in your videos and in the creativity of some of the stuff we're speaking of. So if that can be useful in some of the cut-ins, then maybe that's.
Hey Mo, I think we could actually one day have a call. We could do this just on video. We could do almost an hour, 45 minutes just on the same thing with emails, but videos, because it's just as important.
No, I truly believe that. And even just hearing that story, which if that video got sent to you as well, it's pretty hysterical, but it also shows a lot of creativity. And so
I thought he had a good eye for goalkeepers until my son tried out.
Like we said, we're not living in the past.
We have a lot of fun here. So
no, I think this was extremely, beneficial for our membership. I definitely, and I know Ryan said it, I can echo him, where we appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day.
Love working with you guys.
To hop on this call, share tons of information, share insight, and really give a lot of tricks to the trade. So, when we're able to share this with our players and families, they will be able to think of new creative things to make sure their emails are getting open, make sure they're not ruining, date night, but making sure they're getting a response from coach. And then also knowing I can utilize my younger sibling who wants to be in my video all the time anyway to segue into me, being a boss. So I think there was a lot of good tricks and nannies that were just given out. So once again, truly do appreciate you guys taking the time. And then, definitely wishing you, to stay safe, stay healthy during these unprecedented times. But hopefully we are all back to being on the field and back to the new normal here very soon. So thanks for your time.
We love working with you guys, Ryan. Good job. And Adam, I'm going to be in touch. I'm going to get you cut.
Yeah, please do.
Involved with this a little bit. Don't worry, it's not taking time away from your girlfriend. Nice to have an ACC person on our roster.
No,
okay.
Thank you guys.
Absolutely.
Thanks everybody.
Thank
you, Mo.
You
Great
guys
job,
have a great
guys. Good talking to you.
Awesome.
And I appreciate those answers. The funny thing is, as those answers are coming in is I love the guest appearance we have there.
I know. I was waving. I forgot that I was waving. I'm on camera now, but yes, Anthony, Emily doesn't have one that's not that far from that age too, right?
I don't have any kids yet.
Well, maybe
We
with
just got the house.
oh, that's it. Okay, but maybe
we
shelter in place. Who knows?
got the house and shimmied into it as shelter in place.
That was. I knew it was one of the big four that you did. So that was one. But yeah,
Look
Kai.
at that.
You introduce her, Kai.
So this is baby Kalena, born December 13th. So
We're up a
she's
little bit.
4.5 months. Her
Oh,
mom's
my
on a call, so I'm in charge of feeding, and that takes no breaks.
He has more hair than you do.
He does.
Look at that.
Cool.
Last week, Ryan had a guest appearance when his dog jumped on him during our episode. So
Good.
this time we got a much prettier guest.